question. It's a very specific question based on the book My Lives with Lucifer, Satan, Hitler, and Jesus. So if you haven't read that book, this question probably won't mean much to you, other than it also has a general aspect in terms of how to respond with unconditional love when we are being deliberately violated by other people, and whether that will bring their judgment. So in the book, the avatar who descended was violated ruthlessly by fallen beings, and near the end of the book, the avatar was given a vision of his first embodiment, and the question is, had the avatar been able to respond with unconditional love the first time when he was violated, would a judgment have come upon Lucifer that would have greatly shortened his given time to keep doing what he was doing on earth? Or was it simply because the avatar was capable of ascending if he so chose by the end of that lifetime? So the question here is this. I have talked in my video about how the world was created, that there are these fallen beings who have been allowed to embody on earth, and that they see as a threat those of us who come as avatars. And I talk a lot about that in my whole playlist about avatar psychology. So the fallen beings will often seek to deliberately hurt us and bring us to this point of total pain where we just completely break down. And so the question is, if we had been able to respond with unconditional love, would that have brought the judgment upon the fallen beings? And the answer is yes, but it's only a theoretical answer, because the Ascended Masters have explained that nobody who came to Earth as an avatar was able to do this when they were exposed to this initial birth trauma. Because the contrast between coming from a natural planet and being exposed to this deliberate violation that you have not done nothing to deserve is just so big that nobody's been able to do it. And the Masters are saying, basically, don't blame yourself for not being able to do it, because the Ascended Masters who have ascended before us, who also came as avatars, they weren't able to do it either. So I would say that it's simply part of the experience as an avatar to come down, to experience this birth trauma, and then gradually to build ourselves up so that now, knowing what we know about the fallen beings, we can then react with unconditional love, or respond with unconditional love. So we do it knowingly. And we couldn't have done that the first time. So you have to realize something else also, that is that, so here's the situation. You have an innocent person who's being violated by a fallen being. And the innocent person reacts by going into shock and trauma and this and that. But the fallen being is still being judged by doing what it's doing. You see, there's a certain judgment that comes upon the fallen being when it violates an innocent person. Now later, and this is also described in the book, where the protagonist in the book engages in a fight against the fallen beings and resists them and tries to kill them. That doesn't bring the judgment. Even if it was the fallen being who started violating the avatar, if the avatar responds with violence, that doesn't bring the judgment. So it is, as Jesus demonstrated by letting himself be arrested and tortured and executed, it is when you respond with innocence that the judgment comes. And so you could say that the very first time that Lucifer violated an avatar, there was a certain judgment. It didn't mean that he was instantly taken off Earth, but it meant his time here was reduced. And that happens every time they violate the innocent. So, so when you don't respond in a dualistic way, those in the dualistic state of mind will always receive a certain judgment of Christ for violating you. And that goes today. That goes for any tyrant, any dictator who violates people who are innocent, or relatively innocent. So that is always the case. And there's an add-on question where there's a situation in there where it's described that Jesus is about to be tortured and he switches bodies with the protagonist. And the question really is, did it only work because Lucifer assumed he was about to violate Jesus, not knowing that they had switched bodies? But no, I don't think that matters. I don't think that really matters. I think it's probably making a little too intellectual what is being said there. So anyway, I know it's a very, very specific question, but obviously the book, My Lives, is a very special book that many people have found to be very life-changing, really life-changing to read it. So if you haven't read it, read it and see for yourself.